And good evening. This is Bob, W6CJX, and I'll be your net control operator for tonight's Papa Great Outdoor Net. This net meets every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific. This is a directed net, so please go through net control at all times, and your cooperation is always greatly appreciated. Before we get started, let's pause for any emergency or priority traffic. All right. Hearing nothing but crickets, we'll continue with the net. Stations with emergency or priority traffic can come to the net at any time with a double break and net control will respond appropriately, I think. The PAPA system is an open membership-supported system in the Southern California area with coverage from the Mexican border to Paso Robles and from the Channel Islands to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're a visitor to the PAPA system tonight, I invite you to go to papasys.com and register as a guest. With your guest registration, we'd love to have you spend 45 days with us for free, and you have full access to the PAPA system. At the end of your guest access period, we'd really love for you to become a subscribed member and continue to use and be a part of the PAPA system family. However, all amateurs are welcome to participate in the daily, weekly, and monthly PAPA system nets, regardless of their membership status. Again, this is the PAPA system, Great Outdoor Net. All right, herding the crickets back into their cage as we speak. They're actually trained. I don't know if you could train crickets, but I guess if you use the right type of bait and throw it in there, I'm not even sure what that is. But anyway, they're a lot of fun, and sometimes if they multiply too much, I just sell them to people that have lizards and stuff. All right, we won't go there. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Sunday. Happy first of the week. Like I say, this is the first day of the week. That way Monday's not Monday anymore. It's kind of Monday, but it's... Anyway. Hopefully things have cooled down a bit. It's been good. Got 75 in the shack here, so I'm happy with that. A couple of my nice fans behind me. Yay! I listened to the first podcast archive the other night, kind of by accident. It was beach camping, and somebody kept playing, when I'd say fan, they would play this roar of applause and whatever. And I thought it was something different until I realized that it was actually something kind of filling in for me since I didn't have that. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. Let's see, what else have I got here tonight? Let's go. Well, we don't read this often, so let me read it off a little bit and give us a little bit of history here of the PAPA Great Outdoor Net. It's a recreational topic-style net, and we'll focus on anything that involves spending time in the great outdoors. Now, amateur radio can make that even better. For many of us, outdoor activities was the motivation behind getting our amateur radio license. The Papa family, we have a really wide variety and wide range of outdoor experience. We can explore everything from motorhomes to backpacking, from the best backyard barbecue recipe, travel trailers, jet skis, boats, jeeps, four-wheelers, and mountain bikes. I'm talking to you, Darren. If you have a tent, a pair of hiking boots, or just an appetite for outdoor adventure, this net is probably for you. Or you might be a redneck. I'm just kidding. I love the redneck jokes. Okay, like I said, we have a very hot topic tonight. It's going to be a blast. Yes, all puns are meant to be there. And let's see, let's do some announcements first. We'll get that out of the way. I think we do have a luncheon left for the month. It's going to be in Orange County. So if you're in that vicinity or not, make your way over there and to the Sizzler. So let me reset, and I'll play the weekly announcements for this week.
Here are the PAPA System weekly announcements for the week of July 21st. The PAPA Orange County Luncheon. The PAPA System will be meeting in person this Saturday on July 26th at 11:30 a.m. at the Sizzler in Fullerton, 1401 North Harbor Boulevard, Fullerton, California. Everyone is welcome. Come on out and meet your on-air friends in person. We will be offering ham license testing at 10 a.m. for technician, general, and amateur extra class licenses. We will also have a door prize raffle with some great ham radio door prizes that you just might possibly win. Please RSVP for attendance and for ham license testing at 10 a.m. We will have a very special presentation from Dwayne, N6DAI, and Bob, KJ6UVT on the mode of NXDN. The Papa Quick Start Program. In conjunction with our test sessions, we have a Quick Start program for newly licensed technicians. Our Quick Start program is designed to get you on the air as soon as your new FCC license arrives and help you understand how to use your new radio on the Papa system to communicate on the air. The Papa system will provide you with a pre-programmed UHF handheld radio at no cost to you and assist you with technical and operational issues as you learn more about ham radio. More details are available at the test session and on the Papa website. Papa HF Net. On Sunday mornings at 8 a.m., our host, David KO6BAF, will be calling for check-ins on 40 meters, at or about 7.210 megahertz. If you are interested, click the link to add your name and call sign to David's Papa HF Net check-in list on the Papa website. All this information and a whole lot more can be found on the Papa website at papasys.com. And don't forget to check your weekly Papa emails for links to all of the latest Papa system upcoming breakfast and luncheons.
All right. It looks like we've got a great luncheon coming up. Another one. Sounds like we had a great one down in San Diego, too. And I guess we still have the HF Net going on. Haven't heard otherwise, so I'm including that in with the announcements. But if anyone knows we're not having it, please let me know. I hope we are. I think that's a great thing. Okay, let's get started. I do have a possible report from the field, and his name is Steve, KI6LOV. So let's see if Steve's out there tonight. And I know he went to the cabin. Sounded like a wonderful trip with the little clouds and this and that, but boy, I bet the weather has been great. So let's see if Steve's out there. KI6LOV, please come ahead.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone out here on the Outdoor Net. And this is Steve, KI6LOV. Yes, indeed. I was out at my cabin this weekend, and it was fabulous. And the weather was beautiful on Saturday. Well, it's always beautiful. It's just different some days. And this morning when I woke up, it was clear, about 7 o'clock, and then the fog rolled in, and then they cleared off, and the fog rolled in again up there, and it was just fabulous. But I have something a little more serious to report, and I'll try to make it brief. When I was hiking in on Saturday morning, I met up with a group of hikers who told me that they had seen a very large snake, and I couldn't really ask them what kind of snake because of the fact that it was a Korean, like a church group, and not many of them spoke enough English, but they're very pleasant and they're avid hikers. Anyway, snake, okay? So I did not see a snake hiking in, but when I was hiking out this morning, I noticed that on all the more sandy sections of trail, I was seeing what I believe to be the trail of a California rattlesnake of one type or another. Now, I didn't see any, but I saw the signs. So, the point is that when you're out hiking, make sure you watch the ground in front of you and make sure you do not step on one of these. If they hear you coming, they normally run away or slither away. But I don't want to hear about anyone getting bitten this season because I think they're out there. And Bob, as far as the topic goes, let's just go with the flow. How's that? KI6LOV.
Oh, you stole my next pun. Yeah. I don't think there's been a topic where we've had So many puns. Yeah, let's go with the flow. Oh, the flow is slow? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. You know, when you mention that, I used to always look at that, and of course, you don't see those kind of tracks, which are usually, you know, you got to figure. I don't know. I guess you could look it up, maybe Google it, of like snake tracks, but they kind of have this little curve, and then it skips, and then it's curved because they're literally like a slinky, I guess, as they're going through sand and things. Of course, everyone's going to think the topic is about snakes tonight now. That's okay. You can throw in some snakes. It's a hot topic either way you look at it. And there used to be people, kid you not, probably kids, that would take a stick and just make this like snake-looking trail in the sand as they were walking. Or maybe they weren't trying. They might have just been carrying a stick and just dragging it along. And I used to see that and go, oh my gosh, how come the snake is hiking up the trail and not across the trail? And I realized it was a kid with a snake. A kid with a stick, not a snake. He could have a snake too. Maybe he had a pet snake with him. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. Thank you, Steve. Our an in-the-field reporter. I think it's nice to hear from him. And when he's gone out there on the trail, tales from the trails. Oh, those snake trails, tails. Well, anyway, very good advice. Please be careful as much as you can out there. And I do listen to our local fire department, and there is probably about 10 or so snake calls a day. Now, sometimes they'll say rattlesnake, sometimes they'll just say snake. So could be anything, but I would say most of the time it's probably a rattlesnake. W6CJX. Okay, well, tonight's topic, like I said, is kind of a hot topic. There's been a lot of what I want to call it, because I'm not a volcanologist, but been a lot of stuff in the news about different places. In fact, Carolyn had found an AI thing about all the animals in Yellowstone were like migrating, just massively, just taking off and leaving the park, or yeah, I'll just call it the park. And I thought, oh my gosh, what's going on? Maybe something, you know, because that is a pretty active size, or you know, there is a volcano there, and I would imagine if that one erupts, we may have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. But hopefully that's not the case. So I used AI to check on AI. So I asked the question, is there a mass evacuation of wildlife? And I came back and said there's a lot of AI videos out there that are not true, and that is not true. That the rangers have said they're not massively evacuating, but you know how animals are. They're so sensitive to everything. That would kind of make sense. So maybe they just need to keep an eye on the animals. I thought I'd throw that in there. So if you haven't guessed by now, our net topic tonight is volcanoes. We haven't done volcanoes before. And the only two volcanoes that I really kind of saw were probably over on the big island of Hawaii, Volcano National Park. And my daughter and I had a very memorable backpacking trip up in Oregon, which I talked to Carolyn last night. I said, I can't believe you let us get on a Southwest Airlines, this was back in like 92, and fly up to Portland, Oregon and go backpacking for a week. But we did, and it was fun. But on our way, we had like an extra day, so we thought we'd head up to Mount St. Helens. It wasn't very far from there. If people know where Portland, and then there's Vancouver, and then you go across the bridge, and then it's not too far. So we got to see the aftermath of Mount St. Helens, which is very impressive. If you do get to see it in person, it's unbelievable to see all these trees. So sorry for all the ranting, or not ranting, but it's leading up to something cool, I think. Okay, so David A. Johnston, he's a volcanologist, or was a volcanologist. He attempted to radio his USGS coworkers with a message. And the message was, Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it. And then he went on to say, Vancouver, is the transmitter on? And the cloud of the eruption blocked the transmission of his message to Vancouver. And his final words were recorded by an amateur radio operator. I did not know that. How did he just happen to be recording it at the time? But he did. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I knew that existed, so I went ahead and looked that up and wanted to see if I could find his last words. When you go up to the, I guess it's a national park. It's a park, I suppose, up in Mount St. Helens. They have a visitor center where they call it Johnston Ridge, where David A. Johnston was perched when that erupted, of him, his last final words. And he was just sitting there on the ridge. And all of a sudden this thing, and I guess it took less than a second or something like that to reach him, and was never found after that. So pretty sad. But it was a part of history back in, I guess, 1980 or so. So North America is home to a significant number of volcanoes due to its location on the Pacific Ring of Fire. So we have some of our earthquakes. The United States alone has about 169 active volcanoes. Kind of scary, right? What's the region? This is the question for the night. So you can look it up, or you can just let me know when you check in. What's the region that has the most active volcanoes? So, and I do have a list of quite a few of them here, but I'm not going to go through those at this point. So let's take some check-ins, see who's out there tonight. If you've ever, well, I guess you could have witnessed a volcanic eruption, maybe in Hawaii, most likely. I know there's one going off in Iceland that's just really, it's beautiful, as long as nobody and no thing gets hurt from it, but it is quite a stunning amount of nature. And I guess if you figure the internal of the Earth is one big ball of fire, it just fascinates me. It's kind of like the whole universe thing. Okay, let's see who's out there tonight. W6CJX, Papa System, Great Outdoor Net, talking volcanoes tonight. If you want to just check in and say hello, that's fine. If you had some other things going on this weekend, we'd love to hear about that. And if you just want to comment on volcanoes in general, we'll take it. W6CJX will be standing by for anyone who wants to check in.
Kilo Echo 6, Foxtrot, Victor November, Jim, Cerritos.
KD6 LLB.
Whiskey Tango 6 Tango, Brian.
6, Juliet Charlie Alpha, Jeff.
Kilo 6.
Kilo 6, Papa Foxtrot November, John. 6 Alpha, Hale.
November 6, Hotel Alpha Lima, Hal.
Alpha Bravo 6, Mike Bravo, Jeff.
Kilo Mike 6, Papa Charlie X-Ray, Michael San Marcos.
This is KM6, PKW, Papa 8, East Los Angeles.
So 1 November, Michael.
Michael, this is Darrell. I was just wondering, can you tell me why the net is on Broadcastify and I can't hear it on my radio?
This is W6CJX. Were you addressing net control, or I think you said Michael? This is Bob, W6CJX, and I'm net control. It could have been that your repeater was under some kind of a maintenance thing, so it may be back on or not now. We'll see, and maybe you'll be okay. And I think that was Papa Kilo Whiskey. Was that correct?
Kilo Mike 6, Papa Kilo Whiskey, Papa 8.
Yeah, you look like you're doing it now, so you're there. All right, let's start with that list, and we'll go through it and see what we got here. One last thing. I hope it's not too long. No, let's go through. Let's go ahead. I got one more little thing to play, just a little ditty, just before we get started. Now we got that list, and just a little information, quick, hopefully, on volcanoes in general. So stand by.
A volcano is a vent or fissure in the Earth's crust, or that of another planetary body, that allows hot lava, volcanic ash, and gases to escape from a magma chamber below the surface. Over time, the accumulation of these erupted materials on the surface can create a volcanic mountain. Volcanoes are powerful natural phenomena that play a significant role in shaping the Earth's surface and influencing its atmosphere. While they can pose hazards, they also contribute to the creation of new land and the enrichment of soils. Some volcanoes form in the middle of tectonic plates, far from plate boundaries, due to hot spots where plumes of unusually hot magma rise from deep within the Earth's mantle, as in the Hawaiian Islands.
I think when you think of volcanoes, mostly you think of the Hawaiian Islands. And that was my thought of what's the most volcanically active state, with eruptions occurring almost every year. So that's kind of a question if you want to answer it. If you don't, I'll wait till the end. I'll answer it. But that's where I always think. All right, let's go to the top of our list, and we'll say hello to Jim, KE6FVN.
Good evening to everyone on the net. KE6FVN, Jim in Cerritos. Well, in answering your question, I'd say at least from the West Coast out to Hawaii, because I seem to think there may be other volcanoes in the ocean than we know about. And the only place I've been in the aftermath of a volcano erupting was over near the Clark Air Force Base, Subic Bay Naval Station, Philippine Islands, back in the early 90s when I was in the Navy. And that's the only place I've been within volcano active, KE6FVN.
Yeah, definitely, Jim. There's a lot of action going on down in the Pacific, and isn't it fascinating though when you do see images of, let's say, Kilauea or of in Hawaii there, where I've just always been fascinated by this molten lava that literally, if you stuck your hand in it, it would be gone, right? Or anything in it probably would just be gone. I don't even know what the temperature is, but I know they measured that. And to think that's just like going off into the ocean and hitting water. And then you watch the video and footage of it coming into the water and then finally cooling off and turning into rock and forming more islands. So, I mean, that's how they were formed. And it's just, it's just as fascinating to me as astronomy and, the whole galaxy and how that's formed or how it's all working there. So, all right, that sounds good. Thanks for some first-hand information from the Philippines. I bet that's a pretty cool place. Let's say hello to Logan at KD6LLB. Good evening, Logan. Welcome.
Good evening, Bob, and everyone on the net. This is Logan, KD6LLB on Papa 4 Saddle Peak. And, I don't know much about volcanoes except try to avoid them. That's been my strategy. I've been to, I guess it's Kilauea on the Big Island and Haleakala on Maui, and visited the craters. It seems like, I think it was the Big Island, there was steam at the crater at the time I was there. I'm pretty sure that was Kilauea, but I'm not 100% certain. I have, I've known people who actually had land, I guess, on the Big Island. They had a pretty serious lava flow about 10 or 12 years ago, and I knew some people who had some land that they had hoped to build on and to retire, and their plans changed pretty quickly. And anyway, volcanoes are definitely fascinating. I'm not super eager to see them up close. It's just, anyway. But, it would be bad news if Yellowstone or Mammoth decided to change its state, sort of the way Mount St. Helens did. But anyway, it's good to hear everyone on the net, and thanks for doing the net, Bob. KD6LLB.
Well, thank you, Logan. And that's why you're here tonight, so we can learn something, I guess. I say this over and over, and you've said it many times. It jogs memories, and I remember going up to Mount Shasta, Mount Lassen. There's so many of these that they're just, I guess dormant's a good thing. If they're dormant, that's probably the best state they could be in until they change. But you never know. I just, but I learn things as I do some research. I don't just sit there and okay, let me think of a topic and here we go. I do some research, and I do it because I want to learn about different things, and I enjoy that. And then to try to share it with everyone on the net. So, that's great. Well, it's like I said, a lot of people go to Hawaii and get to see that, or I guess the best way to see it is from probably a helicopter right out there where it's going into the ocean and all that. But scary, kind of scary stuff. And then my father-in-law, Carolyn's dad, had bought property right there on the south end of Kona, if you want to call it that, or the Big Island, I guess. And it kind of got covered over with that eruption that you just talked about. So I'm not sure if it was ever worth a lot of money or not. She might be able to know a little bit more of that, but I was excited. I was ready to build a house or something, but I guess it's a good thing we didn't do that. Maybe that's probably a smarter thing. All right, Logan, thank you so much, always. And Brian, Whiskey Tango 6 Tango. It does roll off the tongue quite nice, doesn't it?
Good evening, Papa. Thanks, Bob. I had two almost close-up views of Kilauea. One hiking in while we were driving around the island, but I got turned back because I had sandals on. No open-toed shoes allowed climbing over the lava. But then on another trip, I got to see it from a helicopter. Sometimes the eruptions can be quite world-changing. There's always a lot of stuff thrown up in the air, and it diverts air traffic different times. I know Iceland did that a couple of times. And there's a good documentary somewhere about the Middle Ages. I think it might have been Krakatoa or something in Indonesia erupting. And it was about the year that didn't have a summer. So much nuclear winter stuff up in the air that even in England there's a documented year with no summer, maybe 2 years. Anyway, that can affect all of us if it's big enough. Whiskey Tango, 6 Tango.
Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you for doing the Thursday night technical roundtable and coordinating that. Great to have someone doing that, and you do an amazing job. So, well, we all do. Let's pat ourselves on the back, shall we? The controllers. I know we get our thanks, and that's why I always say this. My pay is thanks for doing the net, and that seems to be a pretty popular thing. And there's some definitely some cool. You just don't want them to all erupt at the same time, or I just don't know. You know, I'd like to get on the net, and I just talked about this earlier with Carolyn. Is Kate Hutton? I know she's a Papa member, and I don't know if she'll ever willingly come on. We might have to kidnap her and bring her in here with a hood on. I'm just kidding. She's such a great lady, and she's our earthquake lady, as if you go back. And anyway, I just thought that would be a fun thing to have. Maybe we could discuss earthquakes or something like that. We'll see. Put on my producer hat and see what I can do. Thank you, Brian, as always, and good to hear you there tonight. Let's say hello to Jeff, KO6JCA. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Charlie Alpha, Jeff coming in on Papa 3 this evening. Thanks for hosting the net. Great topic. And you commented at the top of the net, sounded pessimistic about being able to train the crickets to go back into the cage. And I thought I'd mention flea circuses. If they can train fleas, you could probably train the crickets to come out and go back in at the top of the net. Anyway, I thought I'd mention that. Also, there's a famous quote in Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, about liquid hot magma that you can maybe add in post-production. Surprised you hadn't used that for your AV, your sound. And finally, I did go to, in the Sierras, Obsidian Dome, I'm surprised no one mentioned, just south of June Lake and about 8 miles north of Mammoth Lakes. It's a place you can visit, and it's an old volcanic dome from a long time ago that has the lava rocks that you can hike around and hike up to. But anyway, that's something that you can check out. Anyway, 730, back to net control, Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Charlie.
Even after they pay me the money, I'm still going to melt every city on the planet with liquid hot magma.
Well, thank you for that, Jeff. I might just have to do that. I can add that in post. Absolutely. Not a big deal at all. I was going to actually start the net off with that clip from Johnston, Mr. David A. Johnston, and I thought, you know what, people are not going to know what the heck that is. In fact, I don't even think it came across that well. It's a very poor recording, and so that's why I played it a couple times. But yeah, maybe I love Austin Powers. I may have to work on that. Thank you for the idea. I guess I'll give you some credit on there. I'll put you on the closing credits. We don't have closing credits. But anyway, we'll try it. Thank you, Jeff. Always a pleasure. And let's see. I have another station just before John, K6PFN, and I have a Kilo Charlie. Did you check in about the middle? Someone with a KC in their call sign? Go ahead. All right. I knew that was kind of vague. I wonder why I put KC down. But we'll revisit. We'll get through this list, and we can always take a few more. How about John? K6PFN. Good evening, John, and welcome. Oh, they're dropping like crickets. Last night when Darren did the cricket, I thought something had gone wrong in my system, and I thought, oh my God, my crickets are playing. What the heck happened there? Anyway, it was his crickets, not mine. We share crickets. But I do like what Jeff said about the flea circus, or And then remember the Mexican jumping beans? Those were so cool as a kid. I don't know where we got those. I guess it was some kind of a fly or larva or something inside the bean that would jump. I don't know. But those were. I just thought of that when you said about the flea. All right, John. Let's see if John's out there. K6PFN. All right, we can come back to John, and I know I heard him. I've got voice recognition in my head. Dale, who's usually kind of towards the top there. Dale, you're slacking off tonight. You, welcome.
Dale, I'm 6AQQ. It's 67 degrees in Dustin. As far as lava, the only lava I've come across, I hiked in eastern Oregon in lava, and also in Hawaii. So that's my 2 cents on lava. I actually fell in Hawaii because I got my foot caught, but I got through it. Anyway, N6AQQ, back to that. Thanks for doing it, Bob.
Thank you, Dale. Yeah, that's the lava is scary stuff. I mean, however you want to put it, if you fall down on it, you're going to get a nasty scrape. I know on the Big Island, which where else have I been? Carolyn's gone to some of the other islands. I've only gone to the Big Island, and there's a lot of lava there because it's the youngest island in the chain. But as you go down, like try to get to the beach and those kind of things, you got sometimes traverse all this lava, and it can be a little daunting, and it's really sharp stuff, as you know. But the one fond memory that I had of in a local area was going up 395. We have all those lava flows that are up there. They're so cool because you can actually see how it might have flowed down off of the mountain there. And then there's certain areas where there's a little lava rocks. I know in Hawaii, if you take a lava rock with you and bring it home, you'll have, 150 years bad luck because Madame Pele will come after you, give you bad luck for a while. But I did take a few each year. That was kind of our ritual. When we'd go up to Tahoe and back, we'd stop somewhere along the side of the road and pick up just a small piece of lava. I thought they're pretty cool. Thank you, Dale. And let's say hello to Hal. N6HAL. This is W6EJX, net control.
N6HAL, Al from San Marcos, Papa 9. Hello, Bob. Thanks for doing the net. Great topic. I want to quote Steve earlier when he said that's a hot topic, and then you quoted by saying go with the flow. But I think that I got enough training in my career to where I'm not going to try to put one of those fires out. I think I'd have to blast the fire engine's horn 5 times and evacuate. I've never seen an actual volcano or been to one, except I did tour the Mount St. Helens area several years after it happened, but still saw a lot of the devastation, and that was really wild. And I don't think I ever want to be close enough to one where it could damage me, that's for sure. That's all I got, Bob. Thanks a lot. N6HAL, back to the net.
Good point. You would have to have, well, even the whole ocean, when that stuff flows into the Pacific Ocean there in Hawaii, it even takes a while. I mean, that's when and there's so many good videos, so hopefully everyone will think about it and maybe go to YouTube and just, I have no affiliation other than archiving the net, but there's, some awesome videos out there on volcanoes in general. And they're beautiful, and some of them they put music to, and and everything. But yeah, I don't think there's enough water for anything like that. Especially there's no trucks that would have enough water to put out a flow like that. Wow, Mother Nature. It's just Mother Nature. Maybe we'll do a net one week on Mother Nature and all the things. There's some. Yeah, there you go. I just thought of a new net topic. Thank you, Hal. And good to hear you tonight, as always, and you're more than welcome. I enjoy getting to talk to everybody and share some, a little experiences on these different topics and things. I figure we all could learn from it. And I do have to give credit to this next station for giving me this topic. And I kind of said, well, we've kind of done that before, but we really didn't that much. And so I wanted to say thank you to Jeff, AB6MB, and welcome to the net.
Oh, Bob, and glad I could bring up that idea to you. And I just emailed Bob and said, how about doing one on volcanoes? And he said, that's not a bad idea. And here we are. You're talking just now about the fire truck and putting water on lava. They did something similar to that in Iceland. There was a lava flow coming at this small town, and they actually got water pumps out there, and they actually managed to put enough water on it to stop the flow. And then finally, the volcano that was stopped it flowing, and lo and behold, the village was saved. And this happened in the last year, I think, maybe last 2 years. And I want to mention that YouTube is a great place for looking for, volcano eruptions. And two that I've been looking at a lot lately is one is for the Kauai volcano in Hawaii, and that actually set a new record for shooting lava to the highest point in the air, something like over 1,000 feet. It was coming out like a rocket and shooting up there all the way up to about 1,000 feet. And I'm pointing at my ceiling. I don't know why. And then the other one was Iceland had a big rift in the ground, and literally it was like the island or wherever it's at there is split in half, and all this lava is coming up out of this big crack, going for about at least a couple miles. So I highly recommend that you go to the Kauai volcano and look at that. And sometimes it's not erupting, but you can see past eruptions. And the one at night is absolutely beautiful to watch. In fact, the same one for Iceland is beautiful to watch. So, yeah, look those up. They're pretty entertaining and mesmerizing. So with that, Bob, I'll turn it back to you. Great net tonight. I wonder who thought of it. 73, AB6MB.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to check into that and see if I can give him some credit. Yeah, you did that. And he's also been sending me little tidbits of, like, you got to check this one out. Especially the Iceland one is amazing. So if you're at a computer, just kind of go on there and go to YouTube and look up some of these volcanoes. They're spectacular. They're beautiful. Like I said, as long as they're not, I guess it's kind of a slow. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's Mount Vesuvius. Is it Vesuvius? There's a few of them in Italy and Sicily that have been pretty active, and of course there's Kilimanjaro, and there's the one that always gets me that's so beautiful and a lot of very picturesque. I've never been good with big words, but then again, that's okay. It's the one down in Costa Rica. That's really cool. They've got this just lava shooting out the top. And the difference between some of these volcanoes, and I don't have all that in front of me, I do somewhere, but there's some that are, they call it where they go out from the top. And then there's like Mount St. Helens, which actually came out from the side. It just blew sideways, and that's why there was so much destruction. But like Hal had said, it really is something to see when you're actually there. I encourage anyone that's up in that northern area, Oregon, Washington, mostly Washington, and go see that. It's just really to see all these trees that are all laying the same direction, and to think that it was caused by a blast, one huge blast. They just look like toothpicks all laying there. It's pretty amazing. All right, W6CJX for the Papa System, Great Outdoor Net. Thank you, Jeff. And I had a station in San Marcos, and I kind of just got a K, a P, and an X. And I don't know where it all falls together there, but if you're in San Marcos and you have a K, a P, and an X, this never works, but I'll hopefully got my fingers crossed. A K, P, and an X, please come now.
Yeah, hey Bob, this is Kilo Mike 6, Papa Charlie X-Ray, so KM6PCX, I'm in San Marcos, and this is Mike. Good evening to you, and good evening to everyone on the net. Interesting topic for the night. I was recalling a trip I took years ago, about 1989 actually, down to Mexico and through Central America, and I had a chance to hike up to the top of two volcanoes. One of them was inactive, so it was an incredible view from the top. That one was in Guatemala. And then I went to another one in El Salvador, which was about half an hour from the city of San Salvador. And that one was a fairly simple 30-minute walk to the rim. I just now looked at Google and just to see the state of the volcano. It was saying that it's inert, that it's inactive now, but I know I walked up to the edge of that and looked down, and you could smell the sulfur. It was actually quite an incredible thing, and the heat. It wasn't active like it was flowing, but I'm sure if it reared its ugly head, it would cause some excitement in the city of San Salvador, which wasn't far away. And I think you had a question also for the net about active areas in California, and I was going to venture to say somewhere near Mammoth Lakes, which I know that 395 route. There's all that slag, all that old volcanic material. So maybe there's still active volcanoes out there. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for doing the net. Good to be on with you all, and we'll talk soon. So this is KM6PCX clear, and 73s to everyone.
Well, thank you, Mike, for clarifying that, and or your call sign, I should say. Thank you for clarifying your call sign. And yeah, it's actually the question that I have. I was going to redo that or re-say it. Is what is the most volcanically active state with eruptions occurring almost every year? And I do relate to, like, Mammoth has got their springs and hot springs and things that are coming up. And I remember when I lived in Lake Tahoe, we'd go down, I guess Mountain Rose would be the best way to say it, down to Reno and there's like every once in a while you'll see this steam coming out of the ground, and some of them are kind of blocked off. You can't get to it, but it's just like if you do get to one of them, it's just really hot water bubbling and out of the ground. So, we've got a lot of that kind of activity around there. Well, thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. And let's say hello to KM6 Papa Kilo Whiskey. And welcome to the Great Outdoors. Okay. Let me try one more time. I'm going to take another round here in a second. K6PFN, John, I know you were out there. Maybe something just kind of went wonky with your repeater. Okay, batting 1,000 tonight. I have another Michael. It was the very last check-in that I got, and I believe it has a 1 and a November. So I was writing as fast as I could, but if you got to figure, I had, 14 check-ins on the first round. So, Michael, if you're out there, another Michael, it has a 1 and a November. I tried to look for your call sign on my other page, but I didn't find it. So please come now.
Thanks. It's Michael at Kilo Alpha 1 November, checking in from West Covina. I've seen a couple of volcanoes. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I've seen. I went to Mount Etna in Sicily, and you get to walk on the volcanic rock, I guess, that comes out. It's really fascinating because you can see where it's all gone and enveloped all these structures and stuff like that. So the other one I've seen is in the Philippines, which is the Taal volcano, which is fascinating because there's a lake within the volcano, and then further eruptions made an island in the middle of there. So you got the volcano, a lake within the volcano, and then there's an island in there. So really fascinating. But I've never seen a steam or anything like that. But I did hear that Mount Etna was becoming more active last month. So that was interesting. Anyway, back to net control. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Mike. We got your Kilo Alpha 1 November. Now I have you in the log correctly. And, I wonder what causes... So I'd like to get someone that's knowledgeable on this stuff. Why does a volcano stay quiet for so many years, and then, especially like Mount St. Helens. I mean, that's, I think, the one that we can relate to the most, because that was just in 1980, and you heard about it, you saw about it on the news. Everybody had, I guess, like Portland just became dark, in Vancouver, that whole area, because of the ash and the fallout was just crazy. If you go back and look at some of those videos too, they're all pretty amazing. And I guess if Yellowstone caldera ever does decide to go, because it is a super volcano and it's got extremely large eruptions and hasn't had anything massive in tens of thousands of years, but it's a very active geothermal area with geysers, and hot springs and stuff, as we know. And another cool one is Crater Lake in Oregon, and that's got a nice caldera that was formed by a massive eruption in 2850 BC. Oh boy. And it's now filled with a deep blue lake, so that's pretty cool. All right, this is W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. And thank you there, Michael, for coming in and checking in with us. I appreciate that. Anyone else out there, if I missed anyone, I apologize. And you can come in, and anyone else would like to get on the net tonight, please come now.
Kilo
0 WDG.
And I'm getting stepped on by Sandy and Nets. Kilo 6 Delta Victor.
KO6 DOJ.
RX Gary.
KF4 PQH Ron.
All right. I picked up, I have to apologize to Ellen. I think you were this KC, and it's not really C. It probably was supposed to be as well. You've done net control. You know how it is. You write as fast as you can, and some of us can't read our own writing. And I think that was your place. It was right after Jeff, JCA, and before John, PFN. So I'm going to take you first, so I apologize for that. And let's see, I think I've got everyone else on here. I got Johnny, KO6COJ, I got Ron, KF4PQH, and I got Gary. So let's start off with Ellen. K6DV, welcome.
I'm shaking my head, I tell you. I have a volcano story. It starts with my mom and my dad, who, in their 20s, in the 1930s, both ended up in the Hawaiian Islands before World War II. My dad was a radio engineer, electrical engineer, working for RCA as a naval reserve. And as it happened, they met and fell in love there. And they were there for Pearl Harbor. They were both on Oahu, not together at the time. And in 1941, the Volcano House Hotel at Kilauea burnt to the ground. Now that hotel has been in place since the mid-1800s, off and on as a tourist place continually, and it burnt down, but they rebuilt it. And my dad and mom got married. Dad said he had a weekend off. Do you want to go over to Hilo? So they took their private pilot licenses, and they took the planes, and they went over to Hilo, and hey, I got Sunday off. You want to get married? So they did. That's a story in itself, because the story continues. They lived together, married as husband and wife for 57 years before my dad passed away. And on their 50th wedding anniversary, without telling anybody but us kids, they flew back. They were married when she was 35 and he was 37, and so they flew together holding hands back to Hilo at age 85 and 87, and they renewed their vows and spent their second wedding night after the first one in the Volcano House right there at Kilauea. So we have stories about Hawaii growing up, and I hope you enjoy my little story about that. And I don't think you need to interview me. I just have all these stories, Bob. K6DV, I'm clear and listening.
When you come up with this stuff, don't come up with it. It's it's all happened, and you're so worldly traveled an experience, and we'd like to share that. But I guess you're kind of doing that one bit at a time, one check-in at a time. That is a beautiful story. Carol and I have been there to the volcano park there on Kilauea, and stopped in Hilo and got a famous and the best probably tasting Subway sandwich we ever ate in our life. We had to unfortunately eat it in the car, because the rental car, because it was pouring rain, and which it does quite a bit there in Hilo. I think I think that's what Hilo means, as rain. And if it doesn't, it should. But that's that definitely side of the island. But no, that's a beautiful story, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, Carolyn and I were married in Lake Tahoe, and we met in Lake Tahoe. So for us to pull that off after meeting there, moving back to Southern Cal, and then going back there to say our wedding vows up in Tahoe City, and it was just priceless. You know, just a very cool storybook wedding, I suppose. And something must have worked right, because we just did our 40th anniversary. All right. Well, I'm glad that you had that story to share with us, and we always appreciate all that you share. Let's say hello to Johnny, Kilo Oscar 6, Charlie Oscar Juliet.
Hey, Bob. Good evening, and hello to everyone on the net. Never been to a volcano or seen one in person, except for the one that I made for a science project. Out of, I think it was vinegar and baking soda. But interesting to hear everyone's comments and stories. And on an unrelated note, I guess there's a commercial space company called AST, Space Mobile, that's petitioning the FCC to take over the amateur radio spectrum in the 70 centimeter band for commercial use. I forwarded you an email, Bob. And anyway, if anyone's listening, you might want to look up this information. Tomorrow is the last day to file a comment, to make your voice heard to oppose this action in the 420 through 450 megahertz. And anyway, aside from that, thanks for doing the net, Bob, and I'll send it back to you, KO6DOJ.
Well, I'll look for that, Johnny. Yeah, that's not sounding good, but, after these recent complete disasters that we've had here in the United States with flooding, tornadoes, that's almost like an everyday thing, hurricanes, fires, the floods, I guess we'll just put it all together, but, amateur radio has just played a big part in that, and they've gotten so many write-ups on that, so I don't know how that would go if they would take that away from us. And us as far as being amateur radio people, but also the people of the United States, that may rely on this kind of communication. That's why we belong to these emergency services. So good point. And we'll definitely take a look at that and see if there's something we can at least weigh in on it and tell them no. You can't have it. It's ours, and they've already taken away some of it for the military. If we can work together, live together with the military and us, fine. But it does get kind of annoying with that radar sometimes. Thank you, Johnny. As always, good to hear you, and hope to see you there soon. Let's say hello to Ron, KF4PQH.
Good evening, Bob and Annette. This is Ron, KF4PQH, in Locust Grove, Virginia, coming in on Polestar. My wife's sister lived in Hawaii for about 16 years. On our first trip over, we got to the Big Island, and we even splurged and took the helicopter ride, and I've got a video to prove it, so enjoyed that. Another experience with volcanoes on our journeys when we were traveling around the motorhome the year we went up to Alaska, stayed at a friend's place on the Kenai Peninsula. A beautiful view out the front window of our motorhome of Ileana, which was active at that time and putting out some smoke that was across the other side of Cook Inlet. So fascinating topic, volcanoes. And greetings to everybody out there. And 7-3, this is KF4PQH, back to net control.
Well, thank you, Ron. I know I looked that up earlier and to see where Locust Grove. So I wonder how many, do they have locusts there? It sounds like a noisy, I think locusts make the noise, don't they? Or they're just kind of buggy. But I didn't know if that's where your permanent area is or not. But you do have that as on your clear note or whatever, so that's good. So glad you got that. It's a wonderful thing to have, especially for people that are traveling, and if you're out of the area or live out of the area and you want to participate in our nets, it sure makes a nice addition. Although I will give you credit for some of your transmissions were pretty awesome when you were doing the P25 bridge. So you had something dialed in just right. But this is far better. It sounds really good. So worth every penny for sure. We'll say hello to Dee if she's there. Hi, waving my hand here over the air. And have a good rest of the week or a new week ahead. You know how that goes. Okay, let's say hello to Gary, KO6 Hotel Romeo X-Ray.
Thanks, Bob. For what it's worth, I haven't heard anything about the axial seamount, which is off the coast of California and mostly Oregon, about 300 miles off and about a mile deep. My last reading, it's one of the most active volcanoes. But of course, it's about a mile deep, punching out like Mount St. Helens. Another volcano that I have concerns about, but it probably won't happen in my lifetime, is Mount Rainier. Eventually, that one's going to pop too. And the funny part that joins all these together, which isn't a volcano, but it's the Cascadia subduction zone. All these seem all to be tied together. And that would be the worst, I think, out of all of them. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, Bob. This is KO6HRX.
Wow, that's impressive. All the research I didn't even see any of that, except for the Mount Rainier. And that's been kind of stirring lately, and it's a little scary. Like you said, that would be pretty catastrophic, too, just because, Seattle being there and being so close to all that. Well, I do hope none of that happens to any of us in our lifetime, but, can't judge that. Always thinking about that, the big one, earthquake coming someday, too, so think about that each night and go to bed and just say, well, if it happens, it's going to happen, or any earthquake, I suppose. I'm kind of used to it. When you have tied this into the outdoor net a little bit, when you have a travel trailer or maybe even a motorhome, except for Ron's motorhome, it's probably got some really good support. But any regular trailer or motorhome, when you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to visit the bathroom there, it's kind of like about a 2.3 on Richter scale earthquake as the trailers and little RVs are moving around a little bit. So, and then of course when you're on an airplane, turbulence. So you just kind of think about those things when a little shaker does hit, and it's not quite as bad. All right. Well, thank you, Gary, as always. Appreciate you. And let's see if we have anyone else. We'll kind of throw out semi-last call tonight. It's been good participation. Almost got my page filled here. And I did miss anybody. I do apologize. It does happen. But we'll be here. We'll keep the lights on for you. If you want to come back in, we're here for you. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net here on Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. And you can find our archive of each net. We're up to 55. I guess that's about a year. Anyway, that's all on. Go to the Papa System, PAPASYS.com. Go up there, click on Home. I don't even think you have to log in. At least I didn't have to. And then drop down that box to YouTube. And we have a lot of great videos on there from the Papa System also. And you'll see the latest Papa Great Outdoor Net. Okay, anyone else? Let's take a few more if we have them, and head on down the road.
November 6, Charlie Alpha Alpha.
6, Juliet Foxtrot Kilowatt.
Kilo 6, Oscar Papa Mike. Mark.
All right, we picked up a couple more. Got Corbin, Brian, and Mark. So maybe we'll round it out with that. It actually made it to the bottom of the page. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but we usually do if I go back a few. It's part of doing the net. It's fun. I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be here. And I enjoy talking to everyone and hearing everyone too. So it's just a great thing for me. Being selfish. Corbin, N6, Charlie, Alpha Alpha. Welcome.
Well, good evening, Bob, and everyone on the net. Corbin here in 6CAA out here in Costa Mesa, California. Very interesting topic, and some very interesting stories out here. But as for me, I've never been involved in, never saw a volcano eruption or been involved or anything. But, one thing I will say that if you happen to be out there and it goes down, you better have your emergency communications all tidied up and everything. So. But anyway, just wanted to come in and participate, get my name on the log here. And once again, great topic, Bob. So I'll send it back to you. November 6th, Charlie Alpha Alpha 73 all.
Well, thank you, Corbin.
BBO coming in from Whittier Radio Check.
Well, your radio sounds fine, but you're in the middle of a net. Let me get your call sign one more time. You can come in and participate if you'd like. From Whittier? Okay, that could have been one of those, I've got my volume turned down and didn't see someone else talking. Well, thank you, Corbin, for protecting our infrastructure out there, and good to hear you tonight. Got to hear you on the DRT net, too, which was great. I I know Bryce always has kind of a roll call thing, so you got to be on your toes and not just checking in, but no, kind of in a way that's good. I mean, that's more of a structured net. I guess it probably should be. It's actually their net. It's not ours. We have no affiliation other than using our repeaters to do the net. But we are so attuned to the DRT net every Sunday evening. I mean, as far as I can remember, back when I first started with ham radio in like 2013, we had the DRT net, and it's the part of the thing. And the funny part about it was one year there wasn't anyone to do the net, and Steve, KI6LV, came on. Now he's actually a part of DRT, so that would help if we needed him, I guess, and no one shows up. And he was able to just take some check-ins. He said, there's people out there that just are so used to checking in on that net that they left a big hole. So he took in just some check-ins and said he would stand by if net control showed up. So I just thought there was that little piece of history in there. Speaking of history, got a long history with Mr. Brian, WA6JFK, my friend. Welcome.
Good evening. I was listening to this. It was interesting. I've been to Maui, so we saw that volcano. It's kind of neat. It's been a while. Don't remember much about it, but took a bus up there and looked around. And then I've been to Pompeii, which is kind of neat, Italy, where the volcano killed everybody, and they've excavated, and it's pretty amazing what's there, what paint is still on the walls, and interesting things, just seeing how an area just got obliterated with ash and burned up and everything. Let me reset. But that was kind of neat, actually. That was a pretty neat tour. So that was kind of cool. And then we were in a National Geographic Lindblad boat tour, a small boat down in the Galapagos, and it was one of the last things we did there was we cruised at night, and then we went in I guess they had to go in at a certain tide time too to get the boat in there, but we went in to this volcano actually, and then we were in there in the water, and then that was one of the most amazing places I've ever seen when we walked up this weird stair thing the next morning and went up, and what was up there was amazing. Birds, nothing there is really afraid of people, so it was kind of neat. But we were parked in a volcano crater, I guess, so it was kind of neat. So that's my experience with volcanoes, and of course seeing them on TV. Back to net, WA6.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit. I guess the one for Pompeii is Mount Vesuvius, or am I saying that right? But maybe not, I don't know. I did some research. It kind of all starts running together. I feel like I'm in school again. But it is interesting, and that's why I said I like researching things a little bit, because you do learn from it, and then hopefully everyone learns a little bit about it here on the net. But that sounds really cool, going there, and you said that was in the Galapagos, I guess. So, wow. And the other interesting note that you said that the animals aren't really scared of humans, because I guess they don't maybe see them as often or something like that. But I guess note to self, don't build a city if you're in Pompeii, or don't rebuild the city at the bottom of a volcano, just in case. Maybe they didn't know back then. W6CJX for the Papa System Great Outdoor Net. And thank you, Brian. As always, good to hear you. Thank you for coming in. Let's go to Mark, K6, Oscar, Papa, Mike, OPM.
Good evening to the net. This is K6 OPM. Just a quick hello to November 6th, Charlie Alpha Alpha, Corbin. We talk once in a while in the morning. Anyway, we live on the rim of fire, all the way down from Argentina, all the way up through Alaska and down through the Japanese islands. It's all volcanic activity going on. I used to work for a company that was named Warehouser, and we got to take a helicopter tour of the area, not right after Mount St. Helens, but sometime after, and just to see the destruction. was just amazing. So anyway, that's my volcano kind of story. 73 to everyone, and I hope everyone has a good week. And back to the net, K6 OPM.
Well, thank you, Mark. Yeah, that's like I said, when seeing it firsthand, boy, from the air, that would be really something. Especially if it was like, recent. I think we were there in 2000. What do we think? Oh, 1992 is when we went hiking up through Oregon, Eagle Creek Trail, and did our little thing and decided, like, let's stay another day. And I think we just had another day left over and decided to go drive up to Mount St. Helens, and I'm glad we did. I even have a little thing that has Mount St. Helens on it with some ash inside. I have no idea where it is. It should be here in the shack. I've got all those kind of eclectic things everywhere, and it probably is. I'll just have to look for it. I've got too much stuff around here. Thank you, Mark, as always. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to throw out, because I'm going to kind of close the net, but I want to throw out, and this can be one of those, anybody can chime in at any time. I mean, you don't have to give a call sign if you don't want. Just chime in and say the answer. So what is the most volcanically active state with eruptions occurring almost every year? And I'm going to throw it up in the air and see who comes up with the answer.
T6ESW.
Alaska.
Hawaii, K6PFN. You're going to be Hawaii, Hilo to be exact.
Alaska.
Alaska.
It's Alaska. It's Alaska. You would definitely say Hawaii. I would have said that. But it does say Alaska is the most volcanically active state with eruptions occurring almost every year. I kind of thought that was cool. It's, who would have thought? I don't know. Jeez. Okay, I heard a couple people that we didn't have. And Mike, KC6ESW. But before Mike, I want to get John, because I've been trying to get you all night. So John, K6PFN, you go ahead, and then we'll pick up the tail end there with Mike. Go ahead, John.
John, K6PFN here. Thank you so much, Bob. I checked in earlier and I had to go offline. I just want to say hi because I'm at Scout Camp. So I thought that'd be just a very outdoors net kind of thing. And thanks to the magic of the Papa system, I'm down here at Camp Fiesta Island in Mission Bay, San Diego. And I think I'm coming through Woodson, maybe? I don't know. But great to talk to hear the net and all that. So anyway, greetings from Troop 50 at Camp Fiesta Island. Back to you, K6PFN.
Well, that isn't the coolest check-in we've had tonight. Down there, and such a great place, San Diego, and being with the troop, and my, awesome. Thank you, John. I'm glad you chimed in on, I don't know who said what. I heard a couple of Hawaiis and a couple of Alaskas, so we'll just give it to, I think Hal said Alaska too, and I rang my bell. I rang my bell, and it was just kind of fun thing. So have fun down there. Let's see, what is Sunday? You're still down there? Well, I guess maybe you guys are, well, it's true. School is out, I guess, so maybe the scouts are there for a while. Sounds like fun. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to let Mike, KC6ESW, well, it looks like an N on my paper anyway, ESPN. Let's see, Mike, welcome, and I know you've been to Alaska a while, quite a few times, so welcome, and to the net.
Thank you, Bob. W6TGX on the net, KC6ESW. I thought for sure it was Hawaii, but I stand corrected. I've been to Hawaii and Alaska, and I have seen lava in Hawaii. I never saw any lava in Alaska, so I guess that's why I thought Hawaii. But, well, very, very good. Certainly a lot of mountains up there and whatnot. So I could see that would be a good choice, actually. So well done. Good question, actually. Not a lot going on here. Just had some dinner, some pizza, and kicking back, watching a little TV, and enjoying a nice, cool evening. Did some QRP a little while ago. Worked a station in Curacao. I love Curacao. It's just 6 watts. Which is funny. Yesterday the band was so bad, I ran 100 watts and I couldn't work them. so there you go. Anyway, the bands have been kind of weird because of all the solar activity. So it's been kind of a rough go. But We did good tonight. A lot of good DX out there. So, hey, 7-3 is back to my pizza. And Bob, always a pleasure. Best of Carolyn. And we'll talk to you again. KC6ESW, back to you.
Good job. Well, thank you, Mike, and enjoy that pizza. And say hi to Chris for us. And, yeah, pizza does sound kind of good, actually. We barbecued a couple steaks tonight. Top sirloins, I guess. They came out pretty good. You know, the petite sirloins at Vaughn's and Albertsons, they're actually pretty tender. Giving a plug for them, I guess. Anyway, your dinner is sponsored by... All right, Mike, have a good one. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the net and get out of here and go find my lovely wife, if she's still here. And she's like, okay, on the radio way too much. But anyway, she's still sticking with me. So with that, I want to thank the Papa system for allowing us to have all of our nets every day, every night of the week. Sometimes we have two. And thank you to Cecil for his legendary leadership, and hope he's doing better. I know he is, so he'll a little bit at a time. And he's out there, and he can always jump in when he wants to. We have a open standing agreement for that. Thanks to everybody that goes to the mountaintops, including you, Darren, and all the others, and Chris, and Ira. I'll give you guys all a shout a little bit. And there's quite a few people I probably don't even know. I've never seen or met. But those people I do know. And thank you to all the net controllers, because I are one. So appreciate everyone. Appreciate all the people checking in, and all the Papa members that support us and allow us to do these great nets every night of the week. So tomorrow night coming up, we've got the DMR net. I'm not sure how to spell it, but DMR will be on our talk group 31078, I think. But check your local listings, and I believe that's at 8 p.m. So 7-3 from W6CGX, closing the net at 21:28. Just made it under the wire this time. How about that? And the crickets say good night. Good night, crickets.